Section 7 of Dear Enemy. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read and recorded by Betsy Bush, Marquette, Michigan, June 2007. Dear Enemy by Jean Webster. Section 7. JGH, Thursday morning. My dear Pendleton family, I have received your letter, and I seize my pen to stop you. I don't wish to be relieved. I take it back. I change my mind. The person you are planning to send sounds like an exact twin of Miss Snaith. How can you ask me to turn over my darling children to a kind but ineffectual middle-aged lady without any chin? The very thought of it wrings a mother's heart. Do you imagine that such a woman can carry on this work even temporarily? No. The manager of an institution like this has got to be young and husky and energetic and forceful and efficient and red-haired and sweet-tempered like me. Of course, I've been discontented. Anybody would be with things in such a mess. But it's what you socialists call a holy discontent. And do you think that I am going to abandon all of the beautiful reforms I have so painstakingly started? No. I am not to be moved from this spot until you find a superintendent superior to Sallie McBride. That does not mean, though, that I am mortgaging myself forever, just for the present, until things get on their feet. While the face-washing, airing, reconstructing period lasts, I honestly believe you chose the right person when you hit upon me. I love to plan improvements and order people about. This is an awfully messy letter, but I'm dashing it off in 3 minutes in order to catch you before you definitely engage that pleasant, inefficient, middle-aged person without a chin. Please, kind lady and gentlemen, don't do me out of a job. Let me stay a few months longer. Just give me a chance to show what I'm good for, and I promise you won't never regret it. S. McB. JGH, Thursday afternoon. Dear Judy, I've composed a poem, a paean of victory. Robin McCrae smiled today. It's the truth. S. McB. The John Grier Home, April 13. Dear Judy, I am gratified to learn that you are gratified to learn that I am going to stay. I hadn't realized it, but I am really getting sort of attached to orphans. It's an awful disappointment that Jervis has business which will keep you south so much longer. I am bursting with talk, and it is such a laborious nuisance having to write everything I want to say. Of course, I am glad that we are to have the building remodeled, and I think all of your ideas good. But I have a few extra good ones myself. It will be nice to have the new gymnasium and sleeping porches, but oh, my soul does long for cottages. The more I look into the internal workings of an orphan asylum, the more I realize that the only type of asylum that can compete with a private family is one on the cottage system. So long as the family is the unit of society, children should be hardened early to family life. The problem that is keeping me awake at present is what to do with the children while we are being made over. It is hard to live in a house and build it at the same time. How would it be if I rented a circus tent and pitched it on the lawn? Also, when we plunge into our alterations, I want a few guest rooms where our children can come back when ill or out of work. The great secret of our lasting influence in their lives will be our watchful care afterward. What a terrible alone feeling it must give a person not to have a family hovering in the background. With all my dozens of aunts and uncles and mothers and fathers and cousins and brothers and sisters, I can't visualize it. I'd be terrified and panting if I didn't have lots of cover to run to. And for these forlorn little mites, somehow or other the John Grier Home must supply their need. So, dear people, send me half a dozen guest rooms, if you please. Good-bye, and I'm glad you didn't put in the other woman. The very suggestion of somebody else taking over my beautiful reforms before they were even started stirred up all the opposition in me. I'm afraid I'm like Sandy. I canna think aught is doon right, except my ain hand is in it. Yours for the present, Sallie McBride. The John Grier Home, Sunday. Dear Gordon, I know that I haven't written lately. You have a perfect right to grumble, but oh dear, you can't imagine what a busy person an orphan asylum superintendent is, and all the writing energy I possess has to be expended upon that voracious Judy Abbott Pendleton. If 3 days go by without a letter, she telegraphs to know if the asylum has burned, whereas if you, nice man, go letterless, you simply send us a present to remind us of your existence. So you see, it's distinctly to our advantage to slight you often. You will probably be annoyed when I tell you that I have promised to stay on here. They finally did find a woman to take my place, but she wasn't at all the right type, and would have answered only temporarily. And, my dear Gordon, it's true, when I faced saying good-by to this feverish planning and activity, Worcester somehow looked rather colorless. I couldn't bear to let my asylum go unless I was sure of substituting a life packed equally full of sensation. I know the alternative you will suggest, but please don't, just now. I told you before that I must have a few months longer to make up my mind, and in the meantime I like the feeling that I'm of use in the world. There's something constructive and optimistic about working with children. That is, if you look at it from my cheerful point of view, and not from our Scotch doctor's. I've never seen anybody like that man. He's always pessimistic and morbid and down. It's best not to be too intelligent about insanity and dipsomania, and all the other hereditary details. I am just about ignorant enough to be light-hearted and effective in a place like this. The thought of all of these little lives expanding in every direction eternally thrills me. There are so many possibilities in our child garden for every kind of flower. It has been planted rather promiscuously, to be sure, but though we undoubtedly shall gather a number of weeds, we are also hoping for some rare and beautiful blossoms. Am I not growing sentimental? It is due to hunger, and there goes the dinner gong. We are going to have a delicious meal, roast beef and cream carrots and beet greens, with rhubarb pie for dessert. Would you not like to dine with me? I should love to have you. Most cordially yours, S. McB. P.S. You should see the number of poor homeless cats these children want to adopt. We had 4 when I came, and they have all had kittens since. I haven't taken an exact census, but I think the institution possesses 19. April 15. My dear Judy, you'd like to make another slight donation to the J.G.H. out of the excess of last month's allowance? Bene! Will you kindly have the following inserted in all low-class metropolitan dailies? Notice: to parents planning to abandon their children. Please do it before they have reached their 3rd year. I can't think of any action on the part of abandoning parents that would help us more effectually. This having to root up evil before you begin planting good is slow, discouraging work. We have one child here who has almost floored me, but I will not acknowledge myself beaten by a child of 5. He alternates between sullen moroseness, when he won't speak a word, and the most violent outbursts of temper, when he smashes everything within reach. He has been here only 3 months, and in that time he has destroyed nearly every piece of bric-a-brac in the institution. Not, by the way, a great loss to art. A month or so before I came he pulled the tablecloth from the officers' table while the girl in charge was in the corridor sounding the gong. The soup had already been served. You can imagine the mess. Mrs. Lippett half killed the child on that occasion, but the killing did nothing to lessen the temper, which was handed on to me intact. His father was Italian and his mother Irish. He has red hair and freckles from County Cork, and the most beautiful brown eyes that ever came out of Naples. After the father was stabbed in a fight and the mother had died of alcoholism, the poor little chap by some chance or other got to us. I suspect that he belongs in the Catholic Protectory. As for his manners, oh dear, they are what you would expect. He kicks and bites